I'm an architect that looks at buildings and thinks, well, how do these things affect our mental health? So let me start with the first question. Why are we resilient? If you look at us as a species, we're the only species that I know of that can exist anywhere in the world, even beyond. We don't only survive, but we thrive. Whether it's the burning desert or the frigid north, or like I like to call it, home, we are very successful at living there. And part of that success is our ability to develop tools. So if it's cold, we make jackets. If it's hot, we develop fans and AC. And another set of our tools is our buildings, like this one that we're sitting here in now, albeit they're a little bit more complex. So because we're so successful, we are running into problems that are associated with success. And one of those problems is that we are getting older as a species. So in the last 70 or so years, the average age of a human being has risen from 47 to about 74 years old. And by 2050, we're expected to get to the nice age of 84. And that's awesome. It's a testament to how we are really, really good at surviving. But it also comes with a few issues. One of them is a population shift. So there'll be way more older people in the next 50 years than there ever have been before. And we'll think, okay, what's so bad about aging? Or why should I care if I get old? That's a good thing, right? Well, yes and no. First of all, we're all aging, and because you're all here listening to me and I'm kind of aging you as we speak. But the other thing is, as we get older, our body's functions start to kind of differ a little bit. So I know I'm not as fast or as nimble as I was 20 years ago, and probably won't be as fast as now when 20 years into the future. But the other thing is that some of our senses also become less sharp. So our perception of the world becomes less sharp. Now, physically speaking, we're very, very good at age-proofing our homes and our environments. We know that, okay, we need to eliminate stairs, deal with them, have flat surfaces, and make everything age-friendly. And all you need to do to see that is maybe take a trip to your nearest supermarket and look at the baby section. But we're not so good when it comes to health environments, and we're not so good when it comes to dealing with age-related issues that come with mental health. So here you see a typical hospital corridor. You'll see a lot of medical equipment. I like to say I know the name of all of these things, but they're the things that go beep, pretty much. And there's a lot of lighting, I'd argue even brighter than here. And there's a lot of doors on each side looking pretty much the same. And to me and you, that's fine. It's a normal kind of process of going to a hospital. To a person who is dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, that type of corridor looks like it's blocked, and it's very confusing. And that means they can't walk down that corridor, and they have to find an alternate route. Now, the problem with this is when we get older, falls, the thing I was dreading happening today on stage, which, yay, I avoided, are one of the main sources of injury. And usually we fall, we go to a hospital, we get fixed up, and we leave. When you're older, you usually get a buy one, get one free situation. So you pick up another injury at a hospital. If you have dementia, then you're 3 times more likely to pick up even more injuries, and that makes it almost a permanent stay in the hospital. Now, Obviously, this is really horrible for the person who is dealing with the injury, for their family, but it also puts a lot of strain on the medical field as well. So, how do we solve a problem like this? Well, as a researcher, I went to the books. Me and my team, we started looking at every piece of literature about hospital design in the past 20 years. We ended up looking at about 13,000 pieces of literature within a year, which was not fun. And we started noticing that there are certain patterns repeating, certain best practices that we're kind of starting to pick out. And all of these culminated in a list of recommendations that we can give to hospitals. Because let's face it, when you design a hospital, you're not thinking about the patient, you're thinking about how efficient can I make it for the doctor and the medical staff. And we thought, well, yes, we want it efficient because I want the doctor to go from point A to point B and not, fall in the process. But I also want the patients to be fine with that. And these recommendations can be implemented with a small amount of effort and a small amount of money. Because if I go as a designer to a health facility owner and tell them, well, I can make your facility even more perfect than it already is, but all you have to do is rebuild the whole thing from the ground up. They're going to tell me, well, awesome. Do you have $50 million? And I'm like, I wish. Like, you wouldn't see me coming to you if I had that. But these are things like having grab bars, having rest areas in these spaces, having high contrasting colors so that we can differentiate between things. Because as we age, colors that are similar to each other, they kind of blend into the same kind of block of colors. So I'm pretty glad that the dot and the stage are really contrasting, so I'm not worried if I make another talk while I'm 90, like, I'm all set. But these things are not only applicable in hospitals, and the one we worked with kind of told us that things are looking better. They're also applicable in other types of environments, so things like public parks, things like business areas, shopping malls. And I'll give you a small example. One of the things that we use in hospitals are signs, and there's a lot of them. But when we get older, we tend to look kind of downwards. So any sign over here is invisible. So just the fact of moving the sign 1 foot downwards makes a huge difference in the quality of life. And it's that thing that we're worried about, that we should worry about as a society, because we are usually judged by how much we care for the most vulnerable people in our society. So I like to finish up with the same question. How do we continue our success story and continue building up resilience as a species? Well, we continue doing what we've been doing all along. We adapt. Thank you.